Welcome to Believers Talking, Week 10 in the National Football League. We're talking Week 10 this week. Already Week 10, guys. It's crazy how fast the season's going. We're talking about our divisional matchup as we go on the road and face the New York, even though we play in New Jersey, New York Jets. So, again, divisional matchup. Thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If this is your first time on here, thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. We go live at least 3 times a week as we go live for the Bills play-by-play. We do the live game and live reaction show the Sunday of the game. We go live the Monday after the game to give you a post-game, my post-game of that game. I like to give myself a day to kind of relax. Obviously, this season with the Buffalo Bills, we haven't had too much to cheer about. So it gives me a chance to watch the game again, knowing the outcome, so I don't get as emotionally invested, and I can give you a better post-game recap. And then Thursday, halftime of Thursday Night Football, we go on here live to preview the game coming up, and that's what we're doing here today, as we're previewing the Bills at Jets game, this Week 10 matchup. The Bills 2-7, Jets 3-6, as we fight for dead last in the AFC East. Again, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we do go live throughout the week. So you want to make sure that subscribe button may have some new twists and turns coming your way. Follow us on Twitter. The description is in the description's below. The link's there. So you want to click on that link. Follow us on Twitter. We keep you updated on all Buffalo sports news. Right now, if you're a Sabres fan and you're watching that game, crazy game out in Buffalo as the Sabres and Montreal Canadiens are tied at 5 last I checked. Who knows? 5-5 early in the third period. Just a shootout there. More points being scored by the Sabres at this point than the Buffalo Bills themselves. So it'll be interesting to see if the Bills can score more than 5 points this week. We've already had 3 games this season where we haven't been able to score more than 5 points this year. So, let's see if we can do that this week as we get ready to play the New York Jets. Again, New York Jets 3-6, not exactly doing that great. But when you look at the Bills versus the Jets, even though the problems are the same, you look at both offenses at the problem, defenses look good. Just the Bills' offense looks that much worse than the New York Jets. New York Jets, however, have suffered a little bit of the same fate as of the Buffalo Bills recently, as they too are now without their starting quarterback, Sam Darnold. They will be relying on Josh McCown. So it's a case of, is your backup quarterback better than my backup quarterback? And I think in the Jets' case, they might have that. We look at Nathan Peterman, of course, and what can you say? 3 more interceptions last week. No matter who you blame, the interceptions are on the stat sheet for Nathan Peterman. 3 more last week. Actually, it's funny, his QBR actually went up in a game where he threw 3 interceptions. So that's kind of insane to me. That's kind of insane. Just think about that. I've been thinking about this a lot this week, man. I know if and women, if you're out there, if you join me Monday, I ranted a little bit about how the fans of the Buffalo Bills Bills Mafia has disappointed me, letting me down. Not all you fans, obviously, but a lot of fans letting me down, giving up on this team, saying we should tank, saying people should be fired, things of that nature. I ranted about that on Monday. I completely disagree with that thought process. However, it hit an all-time low this week, man. Most of you probably know, and if you don't know, this is the first time hearing it, you'll probably be as upset about it as I was. Nathan Peterman tried to take his wife out to dinner for her birthday. And while they were out to eat, someone was throwing food at Nathan Peterman. Throwing food at Nathan Peterman because he doesn't do a good job at his job. How many of us out there probably don't do a good job? I don't do a good job at my job. I don't know why they have me hired. But hey, if they're watching, thank you. I do a great job. I don't know what you're all talking about. But no, seriously, come on. He's doing his job the best he can. And is it good enough? Of course not. Is our offense pathetic? Yes. Does that mean he doesn't deserve to live his life? Guys, if you're watching this right now, or if you're watching the replay, the playback, and you know who did it, or you're the person who did it, or you condone that such behavior, you should be ashamed of yourself. He is still a human being, and he still deserves the respect of any human being. You wouldn't like food thrown at you when you were taking your wife, girlfriend, any loved one out for dinner. Why are we doing it to him? It just does not make sense to me. And that really disappoints me. I was thinking about that a lot this week. I didn't know what I wanted to say, if I wanted to bring it up at all. So I'm not, I didn't know what to say, but I'm glad I did. Hey John, hey Mom, how you doing? Good to see you. His QBR went up to like 30, I think. It was at like 20, and now it's at 30. So glad you guys could join me. I believe Stock welcome. I wanted to get into a little bit about the Nathan Peterman situation. It's just really upsetting to hear that. I mean, John, you and I have talked about Bills fans and how ridiculously stupid they are sometimes, and this to me is an all-time low. And again, if you're watching and you condone such behavior, just stop it. Just show respect for mankind, for human decency. I don't care what your political views are. I don't care who your favorite football team is. No one deserves to get food thrown at them when they're trying to have a good time with their wife to celebrate an occasion, no matter what the occasion is. So that's how I feel about that. But let's get into this week. Let's get into this week's matchup as the Bills get ready to play the New York Jets. Again, the Bills 2-7, the Jets 3-6. Look at the total yards of offense for the Bills and Jets. We'll go through some stats first. Total yards, the Bills are only averaging 248 yards of offense a game. 248 yards of offense. That's terrible in today's NFL. When you're looking at this Thursday night games, I agree with you, John. You look at this game on Thursday night, they're going back and forth on this field. Both teams are going to have over 500 yards. Here we are averaging less than half of that at 248. The Jets are coming in a little bit better at 310 offensive yards per game. Points scored, the Bills are averaging an amazing 10.7 points per game. Again, I already told you there's been 3 times this season where we failed to score more than 5 points. Which is as many goals as the Sabres have at this moment, if not more, because I checked a little while ago and it was 5-5. So and then of course they scored 9 goals one game, and it's so rare for the Bills to score more than 9 points in a game that I think it's happened 3 times this season, and we're here at week 10. So it's kind of a shame to see that we're averaging 10.7 points per game. Kind of really bad. I mean, let's look at the Jets, who only have one more win than we do, 3-6. They're averaging 22 points a game. So they're at least keeping some of these games close. We watched the Jets Bears game 2 weeks ago, and we saw that in the first half at least they were able to keep it close. They were able to put up 10 points in that game, which is more than the Bills can say. If you're a Bills fan, you know that that's more points than the Bills normally put up. Last week was our first touchdown in 3 games in like 39 possessions straight without a touchdown scored. So that's how pathetic this offense can be. We go down to turnovers. The Buffalo Bills are averaging 2.5 turnovers a game. So, and guys, it's not just Nathan Peterman. It's not just Nathan Peterman. You look at Pryor, even though, again, that stat shows up on Peterman's sheet, but him bobbling the ball and having that interception. You talk about Charles Clay a few weeks ago against Indianapolis. How he fumbled the ball. And, of course, about Jason Kroom with his big fumble last week when we were down 7-0 and driving. These are not just all on Nathan Peterman. I know we want to make fun of him. I know he's not a good quarterback, and we know he has a 30-point-something QBR, which is terrible. But when you have a young quarterback, especially a backup quarterback, when you have a young backup quarterback come in and take snaps, your offense, the rest of your team needs to step up. Kelvin Benjamin, you need to catch more jump balls, okay? You have looked really bad over the past few weeks as far as a go-get-it type guy. Nathan Peterman threw a beautiful ball to you in the end zone. Now, yes, the score was out of hand. I think it was 41-9 at that point, or 34-9. But either way, late in the fourth quarter, he throws you a beautiful ball. You go up, you get it, you bring it down, it gets knocked out of your hands. You can't let that happen if you're a number 1 wide receiver. But I know you're going to leave this team and you're going to blame Nathan Peterman. You might even blame Josh Allen. You blame Brian Dable. Because that's what we see you do this past offseason. So why wouldn't it be any different come this next offseason when you're no longer a Buffalo Bill and teams are not looking at you as a number 1 wide receiver because you haven't proven that you can be. Maybe you'll be like Sammy Watkins. You'll go somewhere being number 3, and then you'll shine, and that's okay. You need those number 3 wide receivers just as much, and we see Sammy doing a good job, but you're obviously not a number 1 wide receiver, and for that reason, the Bills just can't have you back next year. Zay Jones, we're loving some Zay Jones recently. Had 6 catches, I believe, last week. He's doing a little bit better each week, guys, and I think we can look forward to seeing him in the future, especially when Josh Allen gets healthy, which more on that in a little bit. we could see a little bit more of a connection there. So that's a connection that you want to look forward to in the coming weeks to see how well they produce on the field going into this off season. Again, guys, we know what this season is what it is, right? Again, we're 2-7 on the year. We're not going 7-0 for sure. We still have the Patriots on our schedule in New England. We still have all our division games minus the one we played against New England on Monday night. So we know it is what it is at this point, man. We will not be making the playoffs, obviously, but now it's all about growth. Again, 40% of our team is in the first 2 years of their contract, so or first 2 years of their NFL career, I should say. So there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of room for growth there, and for Bills fans to be hanging their heads, being sad or ashamed that the Bills are going to look horrible for years to come. I saw someone say that the Bills look the worst coming into the future. They're the worst set up to have a good future. I just don't understand that, because 40% of our team is a young team, and we know what this defense can do already if our offense can just help them out. We improved this offense, guys. We get, Josh Allen is the quarterback we need him to be, and we get a nice young running back. We get some good young wide receivers, get some offensive line help. Who knows what could happen, guys? I'm not saying it's going to be great overnight, but at the same time, when you talk about $92 million in cap space going into next season, it's going to help out a lot. Again, I say this a lot. $92 million is going to buy a lot of nice new toys. So I look forward to seeing what $92 million can get us next year as we get rid of all that dead cap money. Right now we have a lot of dead cap money just wasting away, and it really hurting our talent pool, and that's being proven every Sunday on the field. So going down more, third down efficiency, the Buffalo Bills are only at 28% third down efficiency. The Jets at 30%. So both of them are having a hard time converting on third downs. That's because both teams, with their poor offenses, face a lot of third and long situations. You have to be able to avoid those third and longs if you want to convert a lot of them. We saw the Bears last week last week converting on like almost 50% of their third downs. Why? Because there are a lot of third and shorts. A lot of third and shorts means a lot of conversions, and that's what you need in order to succeed in the NFL. The game is a matter of inches. It's a battle of inches, and so 3rd and 3 is better than 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5 is better than 3rd and 7, and so those things end up compounding on you, and then you get what you get as far as turnovers, as far as the scorer looks, change of field position, those type of things. So we need to be able to convert on those third downs. Going to that defensive side of the ball, almost like every week we're excited to get to the defensive side of the ball because we know our defense is legit. We know our defense can be a top 5 defense if our offense would help produce for them. But we go into the total yards. The Buffalo Bills only allow 313.7 yards per game. That's top 5 in the NFL. The Jets are at 351.7. Points allowed, this number looks skewed. Both sides. I'll say both sides, both for the Jets and for the Bills, because of those turnovers. And for the Bills especially, because teams are scoring points directly off turnovers. It's not even like the defense gets a chance to get on the field. And when they do, the Bears scored 17 points off turnovers, and 2 of them were touchdowns where the defense didn't even get on the field. The other one, they got the ball in field goal range when they got the ball, when the Bills turned over the ball, and they still got held to a field goal. So how can you say that's on the defense? It's not. It's plain and simple, it's not. But it's going to look on the defense when you look at points allowed per game. So Bills at 26.8, Jets at 23.7. Turnovers, we're getting 1.5 turnovers a game. Jets are at 1.7. So about the same there. Between 1 and 2 turnovers a game for both teams. I think turnovers will play a big factor in this game coming up this Sunday. And obviously that does not bode well if you're a Bills fan, if you've seen what has happened to the Buffalo Bills in recent weeks. So we look at that as a big turning point every week in an NFL game. Every game you play, turnovers can be a big factor, and we hope that we win the turnover battle because we know we can win this game if we win the turnover battle. Sacks, we're both about at 2.5 sacks a game, so that's about the same on our defenses. And defensive third down efficiency, we're allowing teams to get third downs at 41%. So that means when they're at third downs, 41% of the time they're getting them. That's not good enough. We need to do better. We did great against the Houston Texans. We did great against the Tennessee Titans at stopping them from converting third downs. Both those games were close. We actually pulled out the Tennessee Titans game. And that's what we need to do in order to win these games. The Jets are allowing it at 31%, so a lot better than the Bills. And that's what we want that number to be. We want that number to probably be somewhere between 20 and 30% as far as defensive third down efficiency. When our defense has a team at third down, we want to force punts. That happened last Sunday. If you were watching, I got very upset on a couple of first downs, not just because they led to scores, but because you're talking about changing field position. I remember the Bears were down deep in their own territory, and it was third and like 7 or 8, and they were able to pick it up. Then they get to midfield, they don't score, but you're talking about flipping field position, and that does not help the Buffalo Bills, especially with how putrid this offense is. Just not good enough to drive the length of the field. As our longest play this year, I believe, is like 42 yards, and that's really not that good. Less than 50 yards. At this point, you should have a play longer than 50 yards by accident, and we just do not. So, looking at the Bills' 3 keys to victory. Again, when I do this every week, I go through 3 keys to victory. What do the Bills need to have happen in order to win this game? Guys, in the NFL, you can win any Sunday, no matter what team you put out there. Even the Oakland Raiders or the Buffalo Bills can pull out a win, and we've seen it before. These upsets happen, and so you never know what's going to happen from week to week. So, going to my keys to victory for the Buffalo Bills, defense is the first key to victory. Defense needs to create turnovers and probably score points directly off those turnovers. We cannot have our offense go on the field hoping that they will score on easy field position. We have to get the defense to get the ball in the end zone, receive the ball, get the ball in field goal range, things like that, so that way we are getting on the board without having to drive on offense, because our offense is just not able to do it, especially with Nathan Peterman leading us at the helm. Pressure on McCown. We know that Sam Darnold's going to be out this week, which means it's going to be on Josh McCown under center. We need to be able, that 2.5 sacks a game, we need to get that up a little bit. We need to get 4 or 5, possibly 6 sacks on this guy, make him make bad decisions with the ball, and maybe we can get those turnovers that lead to points on the other side. And then also, number 2, our second key to victory is stop turning the ball over. We need to get turnovers. We need to stop turning the ball over. Again, we're averaging 2.5 turnovers a game. And it's not just on Nathan Peterman. I talked to you about Jason Kroom. I talked to you about Charles Clay. I've talked to you about a bunch of these guys. Fumbles. It just does not help matters when you have a young quarterback back there that you're fumbling the ball. After he gets you the ball, he does his job. And then you're trying to make a play happen where there's nothing, and you fumble the ball after, and then all of a sudden, our offense is stalled again, and our defense is forced to get back on the field and do what they do best, and that's stop people from scoring. So we need to be able to not just don't turn the ball over. And then our third key to victory, which might even help us with the second key to victory, run the ball. I don't care if it's McCoy. I don't care if it's Chris Ivory. I don't care if it's Tawan Jones. I don't care if it's Marcus Murphy. I don't care if it's John Doe in the stands 3 rows up. I don't care about who's running the ball. You need to run the ball. Bills beat the Vikings. Exactly. The Bills beat the Vikings. So how did that happen? I have no idea. And the Bills didn't just beat the Vikings. They beat the Vikings in Minnesota, and they beat them by a score of like 22-3 or something like that. It was something ridiculous. A game we should have won, and a game we should not have won by that many points. That's for sure. But so yeah, anything can happen here in the NFL. This is a week-to-week league. I know we've been very disappointed as fans, this whole season, and I understand that. But there's no reason to give up on your team. There's no reason to give up on Coach McDermott, who, by the way, still led us to the playoffs in his first year as head coach. There's no reason to get upset. Brian Dable, who, by the way, has had 3 different quarterbacks through 9 weeks, and one of which we had for 12 days before we threw him out on the field. And we're still going to blame Brian Dable, even though we knew going into the season our offensive line was going to be horrible. We knew going into the season our wide receivers were trash. We knew going into the season we had an old run back who couldn't stay healthy, who had off-field issues too. But no, we're going to blame Brian Dable for all of that. Maybe Brian Dable hit McCoy's girlfriend. I don't know. But hey, someone's got to take the heat, I guess, and it has to be Brian Dable. Again, remember, guys, we are 2-2 in games where Josh Allen has started and finished. Josh Allen helped us beat Minnesota. Josh Allen helped us beat Tennessee. Josh Allen had us in that Houston game until Peterman came in through that pick 6. So we could be 3-2 potentially with Allen in the game. But no, you have to look at what you have on the field. When Peterman's on the field, you know you're getting a bunch of interceptions. More than likely, you're getting a bunch of pick sixes. I mean, we have thrown more pick sixes than we have passing touchdowns currently. And when we're talking about week 10 in the NFL, I mean, that's just so terrible that you can't even speak to how terrible it is. Todd Gurley I think he has almost double the touchdowns that the Buffalo Bills offense has. It's just not right how bad our offense is, and I get it. And I'm not saying that we need to give them a break for it being this horrible. What I'm saying is we need to give them time, because a lot of things happened between the end of last offseason to the beginning of this offseason that weren't predictable. Losing Richie Incognito because he went psycho, not predictable. Losing Eric Wood because of his neck issue forced him to retire, not predictable. These things happen. There's more in there too, guys. I know those are the two big ones, but there's more things that happened between last offseason to today that were just not things that we could see coming if the coaches looked into their crystal ball. They just couldn't see it coming. So those are the keys to the victory. Going through the injuries real quick, they are back in the second half for this game. Again, these teams are moving up and down the field pretty quickly. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are already getting ready to score again, already up 31-14. So going through these injuries real quick, the Bills did not participate in practice is Charles Clay, and this is for both Wednesday and Thursday. They did not participate. Charles Clay, Derek Anderson still in concussion protocol, and Trent Murphy still has that knee issue. You're talking about limited in practice is our boy Josh Allen. He's starting to throw again, and people are saying, or coaches saying that he's looking good. But that's just, you don't want to take that risk. I know that he's on schedule. I know maybe he could play this Sunday, but why take that risk? Again, 2-7. There's no need to throw him out there. We're looking at a bye week the following week. So are the Jets and Bills. Actually, it's the first time I can ever think of where a whole division has the same bye week. The Jets, Patriots, Bills, and Dolphins all have the same bye week, and that's week 11. I don't know if that's ever happened before, but I can't think of a time where it has. So that's interesting to me. And then Tremaine Edmonds is also still in concussion protocol, looking like he might be able to make a go of it on Sunday. That would be huge for the Buffalo Bills. Stanford did a great job filling in for him, but we need to have our young guys out there, see what they can do, constantly help them improve as they continue to get older, get a little bit more veteran experience, because who knows who's coming in next year and who they need to step up then. So Tremaine Edmonds is that middle linebacker. We need him on the field as much as possible to be that leader that we know he can be, that he's proven to be so far this year as he keeps getting better and better. And then Chris Ivory was also limited in practice. I mentioned his name earlier. We need to run the ball this Sunday. Would love to have Chris Ivory in there, because Chris Ivory this season has done a great job being that pound up the middle guy, that just right up the middle, be able to get those tough yards type guy. He's actually done a better job than McCoy this season. He might be considered our number one running back so far this year. And that's something that we could say has been a good thing, a bright spot of this offense, is what Ivory has been able to bring in those tough down situations, be able to run downhill. And then full practice was Kelvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes, both wide receivers. Both had minor injuries coming out of last week. They were both full participants in practice this week, so they should be ready to go come this Sunday against the New York Jets. On the Jets side of the ball, we're looking at injuries. We're looking at did not participate. We're looking at Robbie Anderson, wide receiver, Sam Darnold, quarterback. So at the beginning of the year, everyone was looking forward to Sam Darnold versus Josh Allen. Well, now neither quarterback's going to be in the game. It's going to be Nathan Peterman versus Josh McCown. And again, if you're looking at who the better quarterback is in that situation, you're talking about McCown last year looking really good in the 13 games he played before he got hurt. Hasn't played any yet this year. He barely played in preseason. I think they say he only had 19 snaps even in the preseason. So he hasn't seen the field in a little bit. Let's see how that affects him. Again, getting some pressure on a guy early who hasn't been on the field a lot, that will only help you out when you look at trying to win this game. So try to get some pressure on Josh McCown early, I think, will be vital for the Bills' chances to win. But then you go down to Quincy Enunwa as well, wide receiver for the Jets. He's also DNP for both Wednesday and Thursday. So that's two wide receivers for the Jets. And the Jets are kind of in the same position we are as far as offense is concerned. Weak wide receiver core, not sure what's going on at running back, and that rookie quarterback trying to piece it all together. I saw Jets Central's last post-game video from last week against the Dolphins, and he talked about how maybe it's time to let go of your head coach and your offensive coordinator there. But that's a completely different situation because they've been there for a few years now. We're talking about Dable just being his first year here with the Buffalo Bills. And then limited in practice was James Carpenter, safety for the New York Jets. And then full participants in practice, you have Kelvin Beachum, tackle, Brandon Copeland, linebacker, Isaiah Crowell, running back. He's been out a couple weeks. That's actually going to be a huge improvement for the Jets. And then Maurice Claiborne at cornerback. They were all full participants. Looks like they'll be ready to go come this Sunday. But that's all we have for you today on Believers Talk. Again, thank you for joining me. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, subscribe. We'll keep you updated on all things Buffalo Bills, whether it be transactions, whether it be speaking of transactions, we actually got rid of Gaines this week after the poor performance last week. Brought up Brian Lewis, and now he will be back after he played against Tennessee and played pretty well, but for some reason they cut him back down. And then they brought in Gaines, who just hasn't been doing that well. Called for a few pass interference penalties last week, 2 really big pass interference penalties last week. And we need to cut down those penalties. That's one thing I didn't talk about from last week that seems to be bugging us time after time after time. We have 1 or 2 good weeks in there, but then all of a sudden we just get hurt by penalties again. And if you look at both the Bears and the Bills and penalties yards last week, they were well over 250 penalty yards. And you just are not going to be able to win. Luckily for the Bears, we were in the same boat as far as penalties. Luckily for the Bears, we gifted them touchdowns, or else it would have been a lot more difficult for them to win that game last week. But again, the Bills need to cut down on the penalties if they want to have a chance to win any more this season. I do see the Bills having 2 or 3 more wins in this season. We talk about how much better the Bills play at home. We talk about how they can escape with some victories. They play some teams that don't have good offenses as well. So if we're able to force some turnovers, maybe score some points on defense, who knows what's going to happen? Josh Allen comes back. Who knows how good this offense is going to be when he comes back. So I do see the Bills getting 2 or 3 more wins this year. Be interested to see when those happen. So, but that's it for me. Again, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. They notify you when we do go live. And like I said, we go live for all things Buffalo Bills. So you want to be sure to hit that notification bell. The Steelers have scored. The score is 38-14 on Thursday Night Football. So if you're following that, that's the score currently. But again, if you have not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We will keep you posted on all things Buffalo Bills. We will be live this Sunday for the live stream of the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. So you want to be here this Sunday as we give you that game, and hopefully the Bills can get away with a victory. So that's it for me. Again, my name is Joe. Thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. We'll see you next time. But till then, go Bills.